Okay, here's a video showing you how to use the Zoom. In this case with Audacity, the Zoom I'm using is an R24, but it could be an R16. To use that so that you can select any two input channels from the Zoom and patch that through to two output channels that can then be used in a Windows application, like a stereo pair, in a non-ASIO application, so you can access other channels that you might not be able to access otherwise, or you can just use those two channels rather than all 8 like you'd have to do in Audacity if you're doing multi-track. So you need to install two products. The first one you're going to need is my VB audio, and that's called Hi-Fi Cable and ASIO Bridge. Install that. I'll put the links below this post. And the other one you're going to need is ASIO4ALL, with the 4 being the letter for the number 4 rather. So you need to install those both before you start. Then open up your sound properties, go to Hi-Fi Cable Input, go to Properties, and then we go to, is it Advanced? Yes. And then you want to set this for 16-bit 44.1 kilohertz. All right. Shut it down. Okay. Then go to Recording. And this one, we go to Properties, Hi-Fi Cable, Advanced, 2 channels, 16-bit, 44 kilohertz. Right. The important thing is this cable, you have to set the input and the output to the same sample rate and bit depth. Otherwise, it gets really upset. It's a maximum of 2 channels anyway. Okay. But I'm just setting on the same 16-bit 44.1 kilohertz for now. Okay. Also, with your Zoom, you have to have that set up properly as well. I've set it all to the same. So this is 8-channel mode. Okay, this is the only options you get in Windows actually. It's all 8-channel. And I've gone 24-bit 44.1 kilohertz. That doesn't matter that you've got 24-bit or 16-bit difference. You might be able to set them differently anyway, but this is how I've got it working for now. So I can tell you that these settings actually work. Okay, so then what you have to do, or what I recommend you do, go to playback and disable this one. We are not going to be using this aspect of this little program. Okay, then what we're going to do is we're going to configure ASIO4ALL. So this little program, this doesn't actually do anything until you run it. It's like it doesn't exist until you actually start it running. So then we'll go to VB Audio, ASIO Bridge. At least I don't think it does anything. Okay, and now it's appeared, right? Okay, and this is what we want to see. If you can see, as I'm talking, we're seeing some signal here, yeah? And that is actually because this is the Zoom mics coming in on channels 7 and 8, because I've got the Zoom mics turned on my R24. Nothing in any of the other channels. Okay, input, forget about this completely. All right, totally forget about that. That's not relevant. Okay, what you have to have for this to work, you need to have ASIO on. Okay, ASIO off, it doesn't work. You want ASIO on. Okay, and also for this to work, if the first time you start this it doesn't work properly, that's because your ASIO4ALL settings need to be configured like this. Okay, so Zoom you are using as an input, okay, and VB audio you're using as an output. Okay, set it up like that. If you turn on the output on the Zoom, it won't work. So these are the only ones you want like this. Okay, right, so my settings are obviously good because I can see here I've got signal coming in. Right, now here's where the magic happens. What this program is doing is taking an ASIO input like the Zoom via ASIO, okay, taking all those inputs via ASIO4ALL, yeah, and then you can route them to an output that doesn't use ASIO, it uses the Windows drivers, okay? So then you can have a non-ASIO program patching into it. All will become clear in a second. Anyway, the magic happens here because this is your output to like a Windows driver, and these you can choose what goes where. Now, I don't know why it gives you all 8 because it's only got 2 channels output, okay? So what I do is I'll set all these ones to nothing. So I've gone too far. Nearly there. Okay, so at the moment as it stands, channel 1 and 2 on the Zoom are getting patched through to channel 1 and 2 on this output. We really don't want that. I want channels 7 and 8 because they're my microphones. So if I put this one to 7 and this one to 8, now the microphones on the Zoom, which are on channels 7 and 8, are getting patched through to an output, a stereo output, not an ASIO output, left and right. If you wanted to use the channels on the Zoom that had phantom power, which is what the original post wanted to have, you change these to 6 and 7 here. Yeah, these are like your left and right. The rest of them, forget about them, but these are your left and right. Now, importantly, do not close this program, right? As soon as you close this, the spell is broken and it doesn't work anymore, okay? You can have it running in the background, but I'm not having it running in the background. You can have it booting up from when you start Windows. This is an option here as well. System tray run at startup, but I haven't got it like that because I don't need it all the time. Anyway, so now minimize this, but don't close it because then it won't work. Now, if I come into Audacity, and this is the bog standard version of Audacity, okay, this is not the ASIO version, right? I'll prove it because on this drop down menu I've got no option, yeah, for ASIO. So we're using Windows Wasapi, and our input is going to be the output of that hi-fi cable thing with the ASIO routing, the thing we just did, and that's going to be a 2-track thing, 2 channel, yeah, and those 2 channels are going to be channels 7 and 8 on the Zoom, and also playback is going to be, I've chosen that to be the speakers on my laptop, okay. It doesn't have to be, I could do it on the Zoom, but I haven't got headphones plugged into it. And now if I hit record, now if things are working properly, yeah, good, I was fearing they won't. Now you can see it is recording the Zoom mics in a stereo. Is it a stereo pair or is it mono? I was doing it stereo, okay. It's recording the Zoom mics and nothing else. I'm just getting the 2 tracks I want, okay. And let's try and prove that it actually works. You should be able to hear that back. Now, if things are working properly, yeah, good. I was fearing they weren't. Now you can see it is recording. Okay, so that's working. Now, if you only wanted to do 1 channel, okay, say like the OP had a phantom power mic that you wanted to put into number 5, you could do the same thing, but just make it 1 mono recording, okay. And then when we record, we're only getting 1 track, and that's a lot easier to work with, I think, than having to record all 8 tracks every single time, you know. And the beauty of this is you've only got 1 track to select. You don't have to select all 8 tracks all the time. I can then oh no, I need to do punch and roll if I'm going to do it from somewhere else. But anyway, this is far more convenient, I think. Okay, so you need VB hi-fi audio cable and ASIO bridge. You need ASIO4ALL. Configure that how I said, and it should work. All right, let me know if this works for you and if you have any issues. Thanks.